These here are my Tama Artwood snare drums, both maple, 14 by 6.5. Wonderful drums, especially this one. I tend to use that for most live shows. I don't know why, I always end up with that one. Never lets me down. Well, not until recently anyway, but I've fixed that now, and this is what this video is about. But great drums. I've actually sprayed this one pure white, which was to match the Lars kit, obviously. This one here is a factory piano white. They've got different lugs, as you can see. This is a later version, probably 90s. This one was 80s. They used a standard butt plate and the Camlever style throw-offs. It's hard to distinguish what the material of the shell is, because sometimes they look like maple, and sometimes it look like birch. But one way to be sure is the thickness. Maples were 7mm thick and the birches were 9mm thick. As mentioned, this is my go-to snare live. Over the last few days I've had a couple of rehearsals for gigs at the weekend, and I've noticed that the cam lever kept throwing itself off. I had to pinch one of the girls' hair bubbles and tie it up so it stopped doing it. But it's really annoying because between songs I tend to turn it off, you know, and then bring it back in when the song comes in. So I had to have a look at it and figure out what was going on with it. When I had it powder coated, I obviously stripped it all apart, and it involved taking all these split pins out. And in here, there's a fixing which was like a rivet type, and I've had to replace it with a screw. And I was wondering if I've actually broken it, you know, because it wasn't holding its tension. So I've been a bit worried about that. But it turns out I've got this one, which is a newer version. I think this is the MCA 50. I can't remember. But looking at it closer, I did notice in there, if you can see where my finger is here, there's a rubber block. And what that does, that presses up against this block here. And as soon as that makes contact, that's what creates the over center click. You know, that's what the mechanism does. And I noticed on here on my one that it didn't have that. I made one up similar, put it in, and it now works. If you look here, I've made, it's difficult to see, but I've made a little block in there, and now when you bring this in, there's a real positive click, and it's solid now. So I think just because of that rubber block being missing, it wasn't creating the over center of the bracket. So that now works really well. I've noticed on this one, exactly the same. There's just literally, you can torque it into falling off. And look in there, there's no rubber. So when I prepared this at the weekend, I didn't film it. So I'm gonna make another one for this and show you how I did it. Rubber gasket from eBay. I think it's about 1/2mm thick. Cheap as chips. Now I've got a little sandwich of rubber. Now all neatened up. It's quite a fiddly job getting in there, especially when the glue's wet. So I use these to sort of control it and then position it. Now that's in, I'm going to use that to push the block and put pressure on it. Hold it there for a good few seconds. And now that should be good. With the block now in, it is absolutely solid. From that point there, it literally snaps into position. All it needs. And now we can give Dorothy her hair bobble back.